Without a longer introduction, I would welcome you here, Linnar. We know that you are a visionary, well-known visionary in Estonia, and you are also a chairman of supervisory board of EIT Health. And you have long worked for our e-government academy, and you are a founder of firm, and you are a lecturer, so you have many, many jobs. So you are just the right person to explain us what vision could we have here in generally for innovation communities, but like in Europe in general, but also here in Tartu and in Estonia.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I think indeed this is a most crucial question right now, the role of universities and the involvement of the universities. When we are thinking back, we may use a metaphor which is attributed mostly to Isaac Newton, but actually was already used in 12th century, which is we are standing on the shoulders of the giants. This metaphor represents the importance of the accumulated knowledge created by research and science, generation after generation, and that accumulated knowledge is more and more important on a daily basis. This table is not just physical materials, but year after year, all the things around us, all the processes, all the services include more and more of that accumulated knowledge, and the value of this table or any service without having a component of the knowledge is virtually useless. So we are building it, and there is only one institution globally which is carrying on the fact of keeping that accumulated knowledge available, shared and developed, and this is university. So we recognize the importance of the universities. However, when we are putting it to the 21st century context, it's no longer just universities themselves, but the biggest value is generated within the different type of networks. And one of those networks is called knowledge and innovation communities, which brings together, as also at EIT Digital we do, universities, research centers, innovation and entrepreneurship. That's right now, I think, the new angle which universities are very keen on exploring, how to work within the networks, which are cross-border networks, which include multidisciplinary works, but most importantly, you need to work with companies which have not even sometimes been established. Imagine you are a 400 years old institution, 1,000 years old institution, and suddenly next to you there are companies, there are stand-up companies, not even the startup companies, but stand-up companies who are addressing a problem with a deep technological challenge. And that is one of the biggest challenges right now also for universities, how to harness this type of approach where extremely agile approach is needed for that type of collaboration.
Okay, so you spoke about more generally. Now let's come a little bit closer to Estonia and Tartu. Where you see our possibilities?
For many years we have been thinking about the importance of the centers and whether that center is around a University of Stanford, whether it is in Silicon Valley, whether it is in Boston around Harvard or MIT, whether it is a lot of effort accumulated and put into one particular center around which there will be a blossoming applied research and many research institutions. Yeah. I think 21st century is different, and it's equalizing more the scenery in a global sense that if you are open and if you are able and capable of putting attention to the importance of networked relations and keep those networked relations also alive with your full attention, it gives also opportunities for a smaller universities. And please beg my pardon, in that respect, Tartu University can be considered as a small university, and the age of 400 years, well, we can say it is not a startup university, but it is a scale-up level of the university, which still has maybe another 100 years to learn how to really find its position globally, but also locally. So 21st century, in my mind, is very well fit for the small universities who are open for collaboration and networking.
Mm-hmm. So you spoke about the future of these innovation communities, but if I would ask you that, you know, it's very easy to say that we should reinvent university, but thinking about that practically, if you think about all the structures, procedures, all this accumulated knowledge which we have to carry, all this history, on one side, and on the other side we have competing firms offering education, like making Cleveron Academy, you know, different things, many other schools internationally. So what do you suggest for the universities? What should they do? Like here we have built this Delta Center, right? In kind of hoping that it will be like an innovation center of or hub in the region, right? But how do you see that as a non-university agent?
Delta House is a splendid example of the opportunities which are around us. Let's start with the fact that Delta House has a number of entrances. Traditionally, university had one door to enter. Delta House has a number of entrances, which can be used also as a metaphor for different opportunities. This particular building here is really something where companies could come and have their applied research lab or their hackathon, their rapid development process here, and it could serve as also as a living lab. So it's not really for me about the building itself, but it's about the thinking and managing that process. Once again, openness, bringing in as many interested deep tech and technological challenges related problems and solving them together. And I think Tartu University has succeeded, especially in the field of digital development and innovation, to bring in companies who, let's bring an example, where they don't have a driverless cars in their fleet yet. Mm-hmm. And they know that driverless cars would, in a sense, also destroy their present business model. But they are willing to contribute to Tartu University a small fund, which in this case is already pretty remarkable, to create a new knowledge which may create a new value also for that particular business ecosystem. And that is a new thinking where companies don't compete so much, but seek for collaboration. And similarly, universities should not think about whether the private education or applied education facility created by one company to address one gap in a knowledge or employment market, skills market. They are not competing, but they are complementing. And this is a way how I think universities all around the world should think. There are more and more cooperation between the companies. There are more and more also cooperation between the different education facilities, research facilities, and the landscape of skills, knowledge, and research is so vast and big that there is room for many organizations. Universities should not act as a startup companies. They are able to understand that this is not the way to act for the institution which needs to deliver and deliver a year after year, decade after decade, but they should be able to have a number of entrances where also a startup companies or the new ideas could enter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm very sorry for my next question because I know that this is extremely difficult to answer. But anyway, I would like to know that you're having so much experience with these innovation communities, and if we have just started to use this building and are trying to get all these internal community going, and also trying to build up the process, how we integrate this external knowledge to this community, then for us it's always the feeling that it's not quick enough. So since you have also observed the emergence, growth, and also decline of such communities, what you would prognose, how quickly in general can these kind of communities be created if the will and funding and everything is there? What can we expect?
Usually, big enterprises, government and universities have been splendid in creating a closed-loop partnerships, because mostly, especially universities and big enterprises, have a long-term vision. It is, however, something which we always forget, that big enterprises were once small, non-existent. They did not exist. They were just an idea. Universities were once only a small seminars around one professor, one philosopher, and they were also growing and growing. So big companies, government and universities tend to simulate openness and innovation, create special branches, special innovation hubs, but rather it is something which is no longer a slice of your activities, but it's a layer of your activities. Layering means that all departments, all different institutes, and all the processes are embedded with an innovation and really open innovation and networking opportunities and focus to those opportunities. About the speed, sometimes we really think, and I'm so surprised you said that you consider that university is not moving fast enough and you want more faster approach. Usually universities say that things move too fast, that politicians want answers now, and technology companies want solutions now, and the employment market needs new skills now, that universities can't react quickly enough. So the starting point of your mindset is good. It means that you want faster, and that means seek for partners who are also like-minded in terms of the speed. And I would say, especially in the case of Estonia, we have great unicorn examples of the companies which are already in the phase of scaling up and stable, but their mindset is still fast, furious, keep speed, move ahead, reinvent, find the new opportunities. And those are really the companies and entrepreneurship opportunities around the universities right now.
Yeah. Okay, we have still 1.5 minutes to go. Just very shortly, we are talking about Europe, but our next presentation comes from Singapore. So just one phrase, is there anything you would like us to learn from Asia, US, or other continents?
There is one thing I would like to stress, and that is culture matters. And more important than any strategy is a culture. We need to accept also the fact that the innovation cultures are different in different social and cultural surroundings and environments. There are good models which support very much so-called Asian, which I don't want to keep a metaphor like everything in Asia is similar. However, when working with universities in Tokyo, in Seoul, in Singapore, I have recognized that the research innovation culture is very different compared to United States West Coast or East Coast approach, and is different in Europe. However, I need to admit that the most fragmented research and innovation landscape is in Europe. And this is our vulnerability. The fragmentation, to a certain extent, could feed towards a better results and competition. However, right now what we need is less fragmentation and more collaboration also in Europe. And that, I think, is a key cultural element where European innovation landscape should differ from the Asian and American approaches.
Okay, thank you very much.